Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special edition of here Trekking Across the Universe. It is February 19th, 2024. What a glorious time to be on right now. You know who I am. I'm Roger. That's Greg. That's Michael over there. And thank you for joining our special edition. Michael, why don't you get to it, please?
Oh, no problem. I would like to welcome our special guest tonight, Bill Blair. Um, I don't even know how to start with how many shows you have been on. I mean, quite more than five, more than
Well,
50, I
sure,
think.
sure. Getting my IMDb out or my Guinness World Record. Let's just say I've been on a lot,
Lot, yes, absolutely.
and
Um,
that's a Star Trek, the sci-fi type world. We're not going to count any others.
yeah, okay. There's enough of those. Speaking of Star Trek, you were in probably Deep Space Nine, the most out of any of the Star Trek series. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was in Deep Space Nine more than any other franchise that existed.
Wow, that
As a
is
matter of
pretty cool.
fact, sorry about that, Mike. As
No,
a
no
matter of
problem.
fact, Bill, on your IMDb, it says that you are the Guinness World Record holder in the category of most special effect makeup characters portrayed in a career. How does, and knowing it was makeup, how does that make you feel, Bill?
Well, considering that the Guinness World Record has over 50,000 different types of records in it. Some of those are individuals, some of those are groups. I have no idea what the breakdown is, but I am very happy to be one of the individuals. The Guinness World Record people made the category specifically for me because I had inquired to them about this type of a category, and they said, "We don't have anything like it. Would you please submit?" So that began the process of putting together spreadsheets, videos, uh, pictures, photos, anything I could come up with. They asked for two letters from people who are not going to gain anything by being a part of the Guinness World Record. But instead of two, I submitted 12 different letters to them because over 15 plus years, it's very difficult to find just two people that have seen everything that I've done. Um, the record stands at 202.
Oh,
There's been people that have inquired about it, including Guinness World. They want to do an update to it, but they realize that there's really not going to be anybody that touches me and somebody else, Doug Jones, who has done a lot, Jeffrey Combs, who has done a lot of special effect characters, Vince Vaughn Armstrong. A lot of these people have done special effect characters, but I am proud to say that nobody has come close to what I've done. And Doug contacted the people at Guinness World Record and just said, "No, that belongs to Bill. You don't want me. I don't even come close to him. I've done a lot of commercials, but a lot of them aren't in makeup. If I didn't have Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5 to fall back on, I probably wouldn't have the record. But with just those two shows alone, plus everything else that I've done, there was no question that I'm the one. I'm the one out there to beat.
A follow up to that, what was one of the more difficult or challenging ones? I don't mean the role per se. I mean having to deal with the actual makeup, which is the one that you remember. If you had a favorite, knowing that this takes hours, and
Okay,
you
you've
had
asked
at
me
least
multiple questions now. Let's go back.
yes,
Uh, I'm not going to pick a favorite right now because that's a totally different subject. As far as time spent in the chair, it is really a toss up between the Borg from Star Trek and Frankenstein's monster from a special project I did with Elvira Cassandra Peterson, Mistress of the Dark.
yes.
Both of those took anywhere from 5.5 to 6 hours total from the beginning of makeup to being in a wardrobe ready to go.
Wow.
And that's a combination of Frankenstein's monster took a lot of time with the makeup because there are 12 pieces that have to go on me before the makeup alone is completed. Then you have the costuming that goes with that doesn't take as long as the board. So on the other hand, the board, while it may only take 4.5 to 5 hours to do the makeup, it can take a lot longer to get into the costume because I've got a latex suit that has to be powdered. I have to have 2 wardrobe people that pull me into the suit, get all the way into the boots, zip it up. Then I have to put the headpieces on that have not been put on in makeup. I've got the arm that has to go on that is mechanical inside. So there's different reasons. Makeup wise, it's definitely Frankenstein's monster. But when it's the whole package of hair, makeup, wardrobe to be camera ready, it's almost a virtual tie between the two.
Knowing that you had to sometimes 4 to 5 or 6 hours, what did your average day look like? Maybe let's think of the Borg for a moment. Did you end up working an 18-hour day, including the makeup, the prep, and the removal, or was it maybe a 12-hour day and you had like 5 minutes of filming? How'd that go?
That happens sometimes. In some ways, fortunately or not fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I did not play a Borg on Star Trek itself. That Borg was part of a special short film designed and created and produced specifically for the Borg Invasion 4D here in Las Vegas.
Yes, yes.
Of which I, again, was very proud because it's the first time ever I've seen myself on promo cards, tickets, the side of the monorail, in the airport. I was just about everywhere the Queen was because there were 9 of us in the photo behind her. I think maybe 8. I've got the photo behind me here. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But as far as your question actually goes, the average time was 3 hours. And that was makeup, hair, and wardrobe for all the different characters. Now, there were some like the Vulcans and stuff that were a little bit shorter because for the Vulcans, just eyebrows, ears, things had to be, but you had a lot of time with painting, a lot of time with coloring the skin. The same with the Klingon or the Jemadar. I was too tall to play a Ferengi. I was too short to play
no way.
So there are different reasons, and there are Bibles, if you would, as far as the show, the makeup, and everything of what we're supposed to follow, what they're supposed to follow, as far as the people they hire to portray all these different aliens. And I'm just fortunate that I fit a lot of different categories. Even on Babylon 5, Andreas Katsulas, who was actually slightly bigger than me,
Yes.
I would filter double him a couple of times. There are, I fit into the Kosh costume, so I played it once or twice. There's just some of those things. But on the other hand, there's one of those we used to call the greenhorn that they would put me in because I was only the person that could fit it. And even then, I would come out looking like W.C. Fields at the end of the day.
I can see that. I don't want to monopolize. I do have some questions. We'll get back in a moment on how you got into the career, but I'd like to hand it off to Greg and back to Michael as well.
So one of the things I noted was that most of your credits are alien. Other than appearances, how many different aliens have you portrayed in makeup?
Oh, wow.
Well, that is where the Guinness World Record comes into play because it focused strictly on the special effects, which is the aliens, the monsters, as I say, creatures of all kinds.
Yep.
I did a half-hour sitcom called John Benjamin, I think his name was, Has a Van. And I played an alien in a courtroom in that. I played an alien in Charmed. I've had a lot of different types of shows that I've played aliens in, but I've also been on Friends and Frasier and a lot of these other shows where you see the real me.
Yep.
But unfortunately, people don't really recognize me because I'm not in alien makeup. When I did the movie Argo, I was actually in special effects makeup. And it's just another way of proving, if I may just slide a little bit here,
Of course.
it's another way of proving that you don't always go through casting to get a role in a film. In the movie Argo, I was asked to be the humanoid robot by the wardrobe gal who was the assistant to the designer, who said, I know this guy who can do this and he won't complain for 15 hours or more. And sure enough, I got a call from her, or actually in those days, I actually got a text from her, and I eventually talked to her. And this is because she's a wardrobe gal I used to work with on Deep Space Nine. I got my job as Frankenstein's monster because I was in the makeup room with the couple of makeup artists that were going to do that project. So I got my job on NCIS with Mark Harmon, and our late, I can't pronounce his name right now, Ilya, who played the doctor at the morgue. I got my job on that because I showed them a picture of my Cardassian saying, I can handle any makeup that you put on me. And as it was, apparently the director liked the fact that I could handle makeup. She liked the Cardassian photo. I was picked above everybody else, but this actually did not require a Cardassian or any type of makeup. What it required was somebody who could sit still in a chair long enough to have a full head cast made of them so that they looked like themselves on the autopsy table.
Oh.
So there are a lot of different ways that you can get these roles in films and in television that don't go through casting. But yeah, to answer your question, I played a lot of aliens, but I have probably played more of myself than I have of aliens, what people don't realize. And you mentioned the credits on the IMDb and everything. If you'll actually notice, most of my, as a matter of fact, all of my aliens are uncredited because I don't speak. That's one of the beauties is they can use me over and over again. My voice doesn't give me away. Where there are a few episodes here and there, like the Christian Scientist on the HBO series with what's his name? I can't even think of the name of the show right now. On the Friends, most people see me on Friends. They see me chasing Ross through the hotel. I don't speak. But they're again on Argo, where I'm in special effects makeup as the humanoid robot. There was actually a line scripted for me they ended up using. And just for the record, it wasn't anything special because in Argo, they had a cast of 140. They were giving everybody lines, but that's thanks to Ben Affleck, who said, this is only real if these people speak.
If I may interrupt on that one, Argo was the one that had to do with the escape from 1979, right? Was that to Tehran?
1979, 1980, the Iranian hostage crisis.
Yes. Okay. I do recall that one. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Greg.
There's a show on HBO, just remember, called Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh my goodness, how did we not remember that? Yeah.
Coming up in this final season, but second go around.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of shows have a second go around. Will and Grace had a second go around. Wasn't quite as successful as the original, but they still did okay. They still made money, and that's all that counts.
Yep.
You know, I did a lot of early independent films with a gentleman I know, where I was in makeup a couple of times. Other times, I was just made up to look like the character as opposed to being in makeup. So he knew what I could do, and things can happen. And again, I don't have to go through casting to get the jobs that I do. I hope I've answered your question on that, but
Yeah.
there's so many different aspects to it.
Thank you.
What do you think? You said you didn't want to. Do you have a favorite character you played? Because you said that was a totally different question. Do you have a favorite character that you played? Or is that too difficult to say?
I don't mix my worlds. I have a favorite on Babylon 5.
Okay.
Well,
let's start there. Let's start there. Babylon 5.
Trek, so I'm going to talk about it. On Star Trek, actually, my favorite character is the Klingon. Because no matter what generation, no matter what form of Klingon you see, whether it be on the big screen or on the television at home, people know what a Klingon is, no matter what they look like. You hear the word Klingon, you get this image in your head of what you believe a Klingon is. And that is what makes it my favorite. It's heavy. It's got a lot of hair. It takes a long time to get into, just like the others. But if you say Cardassian, some people think you say Kardashian.
Yeah.
If you say Jem'Hadar, they sometimes don't even know what you're talking about, or some of the other races. But you talk Klingon, and they know exactly, because it goes clear back to the original series.
Yeah. That makes sense. What about Babylon 5?
Since you asked Babylon 5, my favorite character on there is Minbari. I played all the different cast and characters of Minbari possible, from religious to warrior to worker caste, and I also played a ranger at one time. So, like Ivanova once said in Babylon 5, and I won't quote her, but if I was to think about Delenn, who's no longer with us, the actress that played her, but I always felt like, I can be meek and mild, but don't mess with me.
Yeah, that is true. Now, did you play characters in Alien Nation or no?
In Alien Nation, I worked on the TV movies, not the TV series itself.
Oh, okay.
But I did work on the TV movies, and in the TV movies, I played one of the newcomers to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
However, one time I played the lead's brother.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's uncredited. It really doesn't show up that much. I don't worry about it. But I was actually hired because the makeup artist who I've been working with for a couple of weeks privately knew what I could do. He knew that the edges would be smooth, and I looked so much like the other character who was the principal in it that I was the perfect fit for that particular character.
That's interesting. Yeah. We actually had Eric Pierpoint on last week with us, and he was talking a lot about Alien Nation. So, yeah.
Did he also talk about how we miss Gary Graham?
Yes, very much so.
Gary and I were connected a lot through Facebook and other means. That he remembers me from the days of Alien Nation, and it's very sad that he's gone.
Yeah,
it
really is.
To the fan community as well.
Okay, Roger, do you want to take the question in the chat room?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we do. Ross Trowbridge is asking, what was your least favorite makeup? Yeah, that's a good question. And did you ever have to do the Drazi or Pakmara on B5? So your least favorite makeup, or your most difficult, I suppose.
We'll go with my least favorite makeup first, and thank you very much for the question. I would say one of the longest one was also one of my least favorite, which was the Borg, because it is very tight. It is all rubber and vinyl. You have to be zipped into it. It's a very difficult costume to get into. And then you can be in that costume for 5 hours or so. If you're thinking about going to the bathroom or anything, all I can tell you is you better plan ahead. When we were on the stage floor filming that short film, which Robert Picardo was also part of, as well as the Borg Queen and stuff, our stage floor was 105 degrees. We had steam going, we had smoke going, Even when we had fans going, you wouldn't have known it. I can't imagine what the two guys in Borg costumes, what the temperature was on the second level they were dealing with. But yeah, it's probably my most unfavorite costume, is also the longest in that Borg because of how long it takes to get into it and how tight it is. And it's in a class all by itself. If I was to talk Klingon, Cardassian, Jem'Hadar, and all these others, they're really all about the same. They all require a lot of painting, a lot of gluing. The costumes are all very heavy, but by far the Borg is my most unfavorite of all. Switching to the second question of that part, yes, I also played Drazi. And what was the other one he asked that I
Pac
played in
Mara.
Babylon 5?
The Pakmara.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's actually pronounced Pakmara. And
Oh.
yes, I played the Pakmara many times. Matter of fact, the Pakmara was known as a crafty in the first season before it was actually named. There was a couple of races like the Lort that were only known as hard cases in the first season, or was that the Narn? I think it was the Lorts. We were all part of the non-aligned worlds, but the Drazi was a little more difficult to get into. We did on Babylon 5 though, we did have pullover heads versus the full glued on prosthetic. And my first year on Babylon 5, I came in midway the first season. I just wore the pullovers, and I'll tell you, they were hot. The Drazi, the Pakmara, all of these were very, very hot in the beginning because there's no airflow. They would come around in between takes with these little fans and just shoot them in our mouths to try to get us some air. And when we were done with the scene, we were allowed to take the heads off. The full glued on prosthetics, while they can be more uncomfortable at times, and there's different reasons for that, they are actually a little bit cooler because they are right against our skin. Now, you might remember in the episode Learning Curve, there was one Pakmara in the middle of all of these gentlemen, Minbari. They were going to be martial arts, were going to the Rangers. And that one Pakmara in the middle of all that, where they talked about how bad the Pakmara stinks, was actually me.
Oh man. Just want to interrupt real quick. Frank Parker says, "Hi, Bill," and he has an emoji, so it didn't come across very well, but he's
That's
smiling.
okay. I know Frank. Frank is a very big fan of mine, and thank you for being here.
Oh wow. Well, then maybe we can have Frank just come in and say hi in a moment, and we'll see. But it's very difficult what you have to do, and I've heard of many other interviews. I'm not sure if you're familiar in the Lord of the Rings. I forget the gentleman's name, but the one who played Gimli, he had to wear prosthetics and stuff, and it was pretty bad. Did he actually? It was some sort of infection, or he had a hard time. Okay, did you ever have anything like that, or okay,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
I've been very, very lucky. I have no allergies to latex, no allergies to the glues that go on me, but I'm one of the very few people that actually knows what they're putting on my face. For example, during the removal process,
Yeah.
most people use what's called isopropyl myristate to take the makeup off with. That was done on Star Trek. Over on a few other shows, they would use these really oily based, because they had no plans to use the prosthetics again. They would just take them and throw them in the wastebasket, so they could use any product they wanted to, and I was not allergic to them. But the isopropyl myristate, I actually have an allergic reaction to. So I use something to take makeups off that is called Easy Off or Super Solve. Easy Off is a slightly milder version of the Super Solve. I will tell you that both of them are derivatives of kerosene, and they can only be on the face for about 2 minutes at maximum. And you've got to get it off of there, or you will burn yourself.
Ooh.
But I have learned how to use it, learned through Richard Snell and the people on Babylon 5, and I'm sorry, on Star Trek. an alien nation, I was one of the people that learned how to use hot compresses, hot washcloths that come right out of the microwave. And it just opens up my pores immediately. Just like when you put something hot on your skin, you open your pores up. And fortunately, with my face, my pores are kind of small. I pop them open, boom, the makeup comes right off. And so I found something I was not allergic to, and I learned how to use it. And I'm very fortunate that they kept a supply of that for me. On the other hand, just to give you an idea how big my pores are and stuff, I also on Babylon 5, and this moved over to Star Trek eventually when I did, that there's a product called Prosade, however you pronounce it. It's a white milky substance, very, very sticky. Matter of fact, we would paint my face, paint the inside of the Narn face piece. It would act like contact cement. You put it on my face, and if you hold it there for any more than 10 seconds, forget it. You're not going to move it again until you use a remover to take it off. We used to refer to it as the adhesive from the prophetic HE double toothpicks. However, there are those that got to know me very well and learned that I don't require more than a 25% solution of this Prosade to stay on me all day long because of the way my pores are. They don't have to chase after me. About the only thing they have to do is after lunch, they may have to do some touch-ups around the lips because, let's face it, you mess up the lips when you eat. But other than that, everything is fine on me, and I don't sweat it off. So they use a 25% solution of this Prosade. Unfortunately, there was one makeup artist who didn't believe me. He thought he knew the best. Sure. Not only did he use full-strength 100% Prosade, he also used an astringent on my face to take all the oils and everything off of my skin before he proceeded. What normally takes one person maybe a half hour to an hour to take off my Cardassian the end of the day, it took two girls almost 45 minutes working together. So you got 90 minutes completely involved with trying to take a makeup off because the makeup artist would not listen to me in the beginning, early in the day.
That's a shame, being that you're in the craft, you're doing it, and they wouldn't listen. Yeah, sometimes they believe they know more. Ross commented that it was John Rhys Davies, of course, like
Yes.
Gimli in Lord of the Rings. Now,
Yes.
Bill, I'd like to back. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I was very fortunate to meet him at Origins in Columbus when we were all this. This was the only year they had celebrities that I know of at that convention. And he and the father, Dave Arneson, the father of Dungeons and Dragons, myself, and were put in the back row of this hall, big convention hall, where we faced the restrooms, the concession stand, and a brick wall, well, a concrete wall. And we had no idea really. Nobody was coming back there. I refused to go to the auditorium to do my makeup demonstration. We did the makeup demonstration right at my table with a portable sound system. We drew more people than they ever would have in the auditorium, which is almost a 5-minute walk. We put a bald cap. I did an Narn that day. My makeup artist put a Narn on me. And we also put a bald cap on Dave Arneson. So his family would see what he'd look like if he shaved his head.
That's fun.
I like that.
I have a all of them.
Wow, that is cool. You and please correct me because I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, but I assume that your first love in life was probably music because we did check that you were in a band for a short while and then you switched over. Were you a writer in music or were you just maybe a performer or knowing that you started out doing music and you ended up doing what you did? Do you feel it's like it was the other road taken that you missed out maybe?
I'm going to back you up a little bit.
Go ahead.
Part of you read my website, and I congratulate you on that. You've tried to learn a little bit about me. Before music, believe it or not, was theater.
Yes.
I did all the background work. I did the backstage work. The only part I could get on, except for one act play where we directed it ourselves, the only thing I could get in a live musical or anything else was the guy that walked across the stage with the newspaper. Being a background, I would walk across the stage, drop everything, and I immediately went into my stage manage, my lights, my sound, whatever I was doing on a particular show. I would stay late at night when I was just a sophomore in high school. I would stay late at night and paint sets until they kicked me out. I actually did like the theater quite a bit, but you are right. Once I graduated high school and I kind of got into college, I started with my first real band. I had a high school band when I was 16.
Wow.
That didn't last very long. I won't go into a lot of details on that one, but in the mid 1975, 76 era, I started with a 4-piece band, what we used to call a garage band, and I learned the ropes. I figured out some things. I eventually joined the Classics 4 after I played with Climax for a little while, which were both national recording groups.
Wow. Yeah.
I got to know the Mother's Ball really well, who had Devo over in Akron, about 7 miles from us. I'm glad to see that he went on so well to score music for major motion pictures and stuff. His brother was my chief engineer for my equipment. I was primarily a keyboard player. I started out on piano, eventually added an organ to that. I actually only in 1980 did I actually add a synthesizer. So I had 3 levels of keys instead of just the one single level of piano that I started with in 75. I eventually had my own group called Expression. And to answer your question, different times I was a performer, but I was also the road manager, musical arranger, and there were a couple of songs that I wrote at the same time.
Wow. That is cool. That's good to know. I appreciate that, Bill. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a quick moment right before we get on over to Greg and Michael. This is Trekking Across the Universe on NDB Media Network. Thank you for joining us. We have a Renaissance man with us right now, and I do not say that sarcastically. He's done many, many things. And Ross says, I still have my late 70s Fender Music Master Bass. He says, I need to get it out more.
Oh, actually, it's pronounced bass, but that's okay. And
Oh my
yes,
God, that's right. Base. Well, that's 2 now that I butchered.
3, and then you're out, Roger.
My question back to him is that a Fender Precision or a Fender Jazz bass?
Okay,
That's my question back to him.
He'll write
That's
that.
right. You know what? I should have seen that, but hopefully
That's okay.
there's about a
Well, I've
5-second delay.
actually played both of them at one time or another. I probably was a little bit more partial to precision bass because the jazz bass had no frets on it, and I was not that good. I played a stand-up bass for a while. My primary instruments in high school band and orchestra were the trumpet, and I also played the sousaphone at times. There was a couple of short-lived series where I played in the backup band. One year I played the trumpet, and in the final episode, I played the trombone instead. There is, except for the flute and maybe an oboe or something, there isn't an instrument that I can't fake that I know something about. So I feel very fortunate in that manner.
Excellent. I do want to say that the reprimand continues. Bass is an instrument, bass is a fish, and precision is bass. All right, I appreciate that, Ross. But Ross, Bill did ask you a question. I'm not sure if you caught it.
Yeah, he answered it.
Okay,
Precision.
Oh, precision. Yes, sorry.
Well, I hope you get it out more often because that is a great bass. I have a friend of mine who has a Gibson SG that dates back to the 1960s, and those instruments have such a great sound to them. I at one time owned a double cutaway Guild Starfire, but unfortunately it was stolen along with a few other things.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
60s
that.
were a great decade. Michael and I date back to the 60s too.
Hey, I was born in '69. Let it go.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead,
I
Greg.
thought you were.
Oh, I wish I didn't date back
Just-
more than the 60s, but I do.
Just you young boys. Young boys, I date back to the 50s, so that's all the
So
problem.
do I, Bill. So
We are seasoned, all of us. But all kidding aside, ladies and gentlemen, please get your questions in. Bill does have commitments later on today, so we want to let everyone know that we're moving right along. Please fire off your questions and comments. Greg and Michael, please go ahead.
So two of your credits I was curious about because it sounded like I think they were roles where you had to be still for a long time. So one of them was a frozen character in Batman and Robin, and the other one I think I even remember recognizing you in the scene was one of the inactive androids in Westworld.
Westworld.
oh, that's right. Yes.
Yes, actually, it's very funny. In Batman and Robin, which starred Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, you're only seeing my double. They actually made a life-size statue of me as the Gotham City garbage man who was frozen in time because of Mr. Freeze.
Oh,
I actually did not have to stand there for that entire time.
Wow.
They actually made a double of me. I was one of
credit to
two
the makeup department because I thought that was a real person being still made up to look frozen.
Nope, they actually took many pictures of me, and I spent quite a bit of time in the plaster room while they made a double of me.
That's pretty cool.
And I went back another time so they get the hair and the makeup right. Now, in Westworld, you are also correct. Twice I played a nude android in that series. They never actually, I guess in some ways, they tell me I'm lucky. They never actually had me out to the major set with all the dust and everything else of Westworld. But there were 2 times that I played the nude android. And matter of fact, most of us in those scenes are art models who are used to being that way.
Appreciate that. Before Greg, if you have another question, and Michael as well, Ross followed up and he said the Sun amp I got with it still sounds great. You can't beat those tubes.
Neat.
Sun amp is also very, very good amp along with PV. They were the mid-range amps. Fender was good. But again, you couldn't beat, if you wanted to, a separate amplifier and a separate speaker. For example, we love the Sun speakers, the bass scoop, this type of speaker, but we also really like the Fender amplifiers. And there was one that had 2 names that I cannot remember the name to right now that made a very, very good amp, as well as one starting with the letter Q, made a very, very good amp. So you combine those with the better speakers and you had a really good setup. Now, if you want rock and roll, totally rock and roll like the Stones, Metallica, any of these places, yeah, you go out and get yourself a Marshall because they're like Fender, they're old tube amps, but they're designed to distort right from the get-go.
Neat.
Appreciate that. Greg, did you have another question? If not, Michael?
No.
Okay, my last question. You were in another sci-fi series that I really enjoyed. I was sorry when it got canceled. Sliders. You were
Yes.
one of the Cro-Mags. I had no idea you did that one.
If you look at one of the early episodes, I think it's the next to last season, the first episode of that season, when both of the McDonald brothers are in it,
Yeah.
you will see me as a Cro-Mag entering the town in a truck. There's one time I think where I'm actually sitting in the passenger seat riding shotgun. And I think there's another scene where I'm actually riding on the running board. But yeah, a lot of times, just like on Babylon 5, Sliders did the same thing. For whatever reason, and this was the camera people, and I don't question them, they like to key off me. They would follow me, and then whatever they caught of me would lead me into a scene like on Babylon 5. I was in the pit, and they keyed off of me on the episode where Claudia walks in her dream sequence.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I thought that was.
I remember that one. Yes.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that I played a Cro-Mag, I think, the one time. And then there was another time in Sliders that was really unfortunate. I played one of these characters that had been partially eaten away in my face because of what had happened at the hotel. And nobody would eat lunch across from me because I kept dripping into my lunch.
Yeah.
My ear, my cheek, so much of it looked like it was gone that nobody could. Part of the expression, nobody could stomach their lunch across from me.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's another credit to the makeup. If it's
I've
actually
had
done
some
this
very,
way.
very good makeup artists in my life. And while we are mentioning the makeup artists, we did lose Richard Snell at a young age of 35. Man lived a very fast and carefree life, but he was also a very, very good makeup artist. They brought him in special just for the movie that Bruce Willis was in, where he had to be an old man and wear a bald cap. And they brought Richard in special just to do that makeup because they knew he could do it well. My makeup artist, where I've done some conventions in the past, Carl Talafiero, who has trained Hollywood makeup artists and did a very, very good job, just passed away this last month or so ago. And I'm sorry he is gone. He and I put on a great show during some of the conventions, and he will, like other makeup artists, be missed very, very badly.
Thank you, Bill, for mentioning them and reminding us of their skill and that you had the privilege of working with them. And it is cool. It is for all of us to look and find their work. Thank you for reminding us on that. I have a further comment. And then, Bill, I think we're probably going to have one last question for you. But as a comment, Ross followed up again. He says, my amp is 2-piece with separate speakers.
If that's a Fender amp, as he talked about, the Fender amp with the speakers, he's doing really well. After the Beatles were basically done with their Vox amplifiers, which were all solid state when they finished with them, which were 2 pieces, they moved on to Fender. And they switched back and forth a couple of times between them. They have different sounds, but yeah, the Fender is wonderful. The Sun, which is also, I used a couple of what we call slave amps by Sun that powered my keyboards. And then I had those go into speakers I made myself.
Thank you for that. Bill, technical question, last one. When you hear these kids of today that are in your industry, knowing how makeup has changed from the 70s, 80s to what you did in Star Trek and everything, when you hear these kids saying, oh man, this makeup is horrible and I have to sit here for an hour, 2 hours, what is your advice or your answer to these young whippersnappers?
Well, I've got a couple different perspectives of that. Number one, I think as a child, I got to train very early on because Saturday morning cartoons would come on and I would sit there for hours and not move.
Yep.
So that was an early training for me. I don't know what these people are having problems with now, but I do know that some of them, and I've been corrected, I've been taken down a notch or two by some people in the industry when I refer to what I used to do as practical makeup versus what they do now with motion capture and some other types of makeup where it's done literally like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's actually done on screen.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. These guys, they go to ape school and they learn how to walk like apes and all that, which is wonderful. But they have all these things on their bodies that tell the makeup people and the computer people where actually these looks go. So it's a little bit different than what I used to do. I watched an episode behind the scenes of Doctor Who, a great science fiction show where the two characters were completely in costume except for their faces. Their faces had dots on them and the makeup was added in post-production. So what these people are complaining about compared to what I used to do, I have no idea.
The seasoned pro, professional, and good individual. Awesome answer. I think that is so cool. Well,
Thank
Ross
you.
had two last comments, and it says, "Wish we could get you invited to FanX in Salt Lake City, and I'd love to get some expert advice on his Andorian." So Ross is a major fan, and he does his own makeup as well, which is really good. He's
Oh,
involved in a fan project. We know you were involved in at least one fan project, and even though I'm not involved with them, Bill, you give back to the community by being on with us. You did it as a in the fan project participant. Bill, it has been our pleasure and our privilege to have a conversation with you,
yeah.
and
It's
seeing
been
your
great.
work throughout everything is really cool. We have our heroes, and we get to spend time with them right here, such as yourself, and it's always a privilege. We've learned a great deal, Bill, seriously. And
Well, I
we've
hope we
had
can do,
makeup artists.
I hope we can do this again someday because we haven't even scratched the surface of some of the things that I've done or things that I have that I can talk about. I would love to go to FanX. I would love to go to a lot of different conventions if they'd only invite me. A lot of them
Yeah.
don't know who I am for some reason. Um, Ross, if you're still listening, you
Yes.
can find me on Facebook under Bill Blair. You can also find my website, alienactor.com. And in addition, you can actually email me if you want to email me your questions. Um, I'm one of those people. I'm happy to talk to the fans. I don't have an assistant. If you talk to Bill Blair, you're talking to me.
There it is, folks. We
Awesome.
looked behind the curtain, and it is Bill himself. Bill, thank you, and I do appreciate that you would like to talk in the future, and it's great. And it's been a privilege. It's been a thrill. Um, we're
Thank you.
good. Michael, we'll save the announcements for after. But
Absolutely.
Bill,
Mhm.
that's great. We're probably going to carry on for a few more minutes and close up the program. If you would like to finish up right now, I believe on your screen, or maybe it's at the bottom or somewhere, it says leave studio, and then you'll exit. Or you can hit the X way up at the top, but not the one that says end stream. Don't hit that one.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't see anything at the moment.
I'm
I'm just going to
sorry.
do what I normally do, which is just turn my computer, my tablet upside down so it's a black screen, and I'll come back in a few minutes. I'll close it all up.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay,
Fair enough.
cool.
Thank you
All
for
That's
right.
the
joining us, Bill.
I don't have to worry about what I see or what I don't see. I'm grateful for all the people that tuned in, that wanted to hear some of my stories. And yeah, if we can do this again sometime in the future, I would absolutely welcome it.
I'll
Oh,
be in
wow. That's
contact
great.
with you, Bill. So,
Yeah, we will. And Bill, again, we thank you. We are sorry for your loss. We thank you. We know it's still raw and new. um, you're the better person, because you still are spending time with us. Thank you, Bill. What I'm
Thank
going to
you.
do is
I'll
I'm going to
see
go
you.
ahead and take you out of the studio, and then you can just do what you need to do.
I'll
Thanks,
see
young
you.
man.
Goodbye
All
now.
right, we'll see you. All right, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Michael, you are the one that runs this program, so it's all good, man.
yeah,
Hey,
it's all good. Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, wow, that was fun. That is one of the rare times when we have the guests saying, yeah, let's do this again. So that is absolutely fun. I
He
love
actually told me that 2 days ago too.
Yeah. And
And he
now he
and he
actually did
and
it
now he
and still
actually said
wants to
it.
come back.
He still wants to come back. So that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Thank you, Ross. And we appreciate Frank, the comments, and everyone else. Folks, he's going to return. And I think it's nice. And I can only imagine what he wants to share with us. So
Yeah, he's
I
got
look
more
forward to that.
stories. That's good.
Well, I had forgotten about the music. I'd seen his webpage years ago, and I had forgotten about the music thing. I thought that was I should have pegged my son to come in.
Hey, well, next time. And it was good. But at least I got one thing right on his bio, even though I still kind of got it wrong. And in the two pronunciations. So it was three strikes and you're out, Michael.
Well,
No,
I'll forgive you the Pak Mara, but when we're talking about music
I
and you say
can't believe
bass
I
instead of
blew
bass,
that, man. I was like, oh, that was bonehead. But hey, it is what it is. Michael, the announcements that you may have right now, brother.
Yeah, just going over what's coming up.
On ndbmedia.net. Oh, Michael, sorry. Folks, on the trailer down there, head on over to his page. Give him a like and, go ahead and follow him. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. And Roger. No, that was funny. That was and Ross, that was a great comment too, buddy. I appreciate that. So, Michael, I apologize.
Okay. Thursday, the 22nd of February, on our Talented Universe show, we will have Kristen Brown, singer-songwriter from The Voice 24, season 24. She's very excited to be on with us. She will be on at 2 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And on March 3rd, Sunday, we are excited about this one too. Dominic Chichak, Harris Beckner from the Ark on Trekking Across the Universe, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. And if you're in Croatia, at 20:30. I just had a confirmation, but I haven't got the date yet. Joshua McCooey, he's an actor, singer, and dancer. He will be on Talented Universe in the near future. He just sent me all of his information, and we're trying to pick out a date. So that should be good. He's in college right now. He's going to one of the schools in New York for the arts.
Oh,
so yeah, so that should be good. I stumbled across him on Instagram, and he said, I'd love to be on your show. I said, yay! So those are the ones I have confirmed. So
I will give out maybe a tiny cheat right now. There's, I believe, 2 or 3 others that have also confirmed that they want to do the program, but haven't even gotten close to a date or whatever. So, Michael, wow, what you're doing. Okay, where are you? There you are, Michael.
I can move around if that helps. So,
No, it's all right. Because now I know you're over there, but now you moved. So it's all good. Greg, as always, thank you for joining us. Michael, thank you for joining. Folks, when Michael, head on over to ndbmedia.net so you can check out everything that's happening on the network. But when Michael refers to the Talented Universe or Trekking Across the Universe, they're what we call our tentpole programs, which can encompass quite a bit of other stuff. So you can check it out. Chess Players. I think that's the way it was, or if it was Bostonian, I know I butchered it. And folks, there are 2 programs in the works, but they probably won't happen until May or June. We're looking to do an armchair historian program, and where we're going to be talking history and stuff. It's more real than we care to admit. And there's going to be another one. It's going to be a paranormal program. I wanted to get it going before January, but it didn't come to pass. But it's going to be in May and June when those 2 programs begin. So we have quite a bit going on. And I know that Greg wanted to do 4 programs with us, so I'm waiting for him to let me know what they are. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Greg, as in Greg right there. So that was funny when you looked up and around.
Oh, he's already done Talented Universe, so that's one of them.
Oh. Well, that's right, Michael. You talk to everyone, don't you?
I do talk to everybody, yes.
Well, don't forget I got a day job, so,
Right. Paranormal I love. Yes, we are going to be doing that. Looking at these guys, it's more Hollywood squares than chess. Ross, stop it, because we're trying to figure out how to do Hollywood squares online. Oh, my goodness, folks. We're going to do our own version of Family Feud as well. We're going to be looking for people to join us. We're probably going to have 3 to 4 people on each side. We can't do the 5, but it's going to be like 3 or 4 on each family. And I think we're just going to have fun doing it. So it's all good. We have a lot of plans, folks. And it's kind of cool. And we do it because you come and join us. You spend time with us. And we're just thrilled. Now, Frank says no one talks to Michael. I thought that was just me. So, knowing that, anything else, Michael? If not,
no, that's
I'm going to ask Greg to take us out this time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we will see you when we see you.